Eliminate credit card debt. There are at least 3 debt elimination procedures that can be used administratively to eliminate credit card debt. 1. Challenge the validation of the debt. 2. File a commercial lien against your trust. 3. Novation of contract. Validation as a debt elimination process to eliminate credit card debt. First, you must understand that in our money system there are no funds because there is technically no money, there is only debt, and the debt instruments that are used in place of money. The credit card lender did not loan you any money, they didn't even lend you their credit, they aren't allowed to do that. They used your credit to authorize the use of the card. You can very simply establish this by demanding that they validate the debt. That is, someone in a position of authority at the lending corporation would have to sign an affidavit under oath that the debt that they claim you owe is a valid debt. They can't and they won't. They have actually committed fraud and now you are asking them to sign for it. No way, they want to stick their neck in that noose. Failing to sign the affidavit, they just write the debt off as a loss. This normally takes a series of communications and eventually you paint them into a corner and they quit. If they try to have a collection agency get involved, you simply remind them that the collection agency is not a party to the contract and cannot speak for the lender. They might have an attorney get involved, but the attorney would have to validate the debt, as well, and handled very promptly, exactly and professionally. Your process grinds them to a halt. Filing a commercial lien against your own trust to eliminate credit card debt. Another version of this debt elimination process picks up on the fact that there are no funds, just debt money. Look at a dollar bill, it does say Federal Reserve note, right? It's a debt instrument that's being used as though it were real money. When you agreed to use the credit card, they used your assent, your signature to create the credit. They used your name to create a trust with themselves named as trustees, and they have used that trust as collateral on the national debt. That collateralization is in an asset account for the trust after it was monetized on the world money market. Eliminate credit card process. Number 3 establishes your right as the trustor and takes that trust back under your control. Under your control you can transfer trust assets to the trust debt account, thereby discharging the debt. Debt elimination by discharging debt. You next must understand that the debt is not yours personally. You have, since you began doing money transactions, functioned as a voluntary fiduciary representative for that trust account, paying its bills with your own phony debt money. When you set up your first checking account, you accepted this relationship with the trust the government had set up in your name. You have not had control of this trust because you never claimed it, and your parents could not control it for you because they were wards of the state like you and had never claimed it. One way to see this in action is to notice how the system maintains the illusion by artifice and deception. Look at your checkbook. How did they present your name? All caps. Odd, isn't it? That's similar to your name, but you most likely don't spell it with all capital letters. What I did a few years back when I needed more check blanks was to ask the people at the bank to change my name to normal capitalization of the first letters of my name. She couldn't do it because her computer would not permit that. The bank personnel will be unaware of why that is. I just shrugged my shoulders, grinned and told her that that was okay. Go ahead and do it the way it was. Do they insist on all caps because they would like to be very clear and allow no mistakes? The clue to that answer is in the line on which you sign your name. It's not a line, it's nearly microscopic words, fine print, some of the finest fine print you might ever encounter. It generally says something like, Authorized Representative. If you are familiar with the corporate world, you know that only authorized personnel are permitted to sign corporate checks. The authorized representative of the corporation alone has this role, so you, the human being, has been given authority to sign the checks of your trust, which is an incorporated entity, a fiction. For over 125 years, corporations have had many of the attributes of human citizens, making a fictitious entity that has real attributes of a living person in the law. They can deceive you, the real human whose name the bank corporations have appropriated from your birth certificate. The birth certificate represents an official certificate of manufacturer that in the hands of the government can be pledged on a debt, the national debt. The IRS is the collection agency for this pledge. Its roots are not in the United States Code but in the necessity of the Federal Reserve and its parent corporation, the IMF, to collect on the debt instrument they hold. This all caps name is how the U.S. corporation, state corporation, county corporation, or school district corporation can communicate with you through this corporate you. Interesting, isn't it? It gets better. When you place a commercial lien against the corporate you for what it owes you for paying its bills or simply because it is yours and you have the birth certificate, driver's license, etc. to prove it, then and only then do you take back the power that they had usurped from you at birth. The Constitution says that they cannot levy a tax directly on the citizens of a state, so they don't. They levy a tax on a corporation which they control and send the bill to wherever you reside, knowing that you will never figure it out and you will pay and pay obediently. Similar to the Matrix, you are trapped in a system that extracts your energy through a fiction and fools the real you into identifying with that fiction. As long as you identify with that fiction, they can continue to control the real you in many ways because you are chattel for their purposes. Your children can be taken away, sent off to fight in wars, forced to bow to the demands of the system. That's why debt elimination is the path to real freedom. Are you starting to get the picture? It's all commerce. That's why witnesses in court testify in the dock. They are vessels. That's why the flag displayed in the courtroom has all that gold braid and fringe. It's an admiralty court that administers the law of commerce. No, the government might not wish to release you from your debt slavery, but when you have taken the necessary legal steps to discriminate between you, the real person, and the fictitious person, they cannot by law expect you to pay the bills assessed to the fiction because you have declared that it owes you, and before anyone gets paid, you get paid. It's a commercial lien on a debtor entity. You are following their rules to obtain your freedom and independence. It's not your poor spending habits, it's not even your national debt to be repaid. The malfeasance and misfeasance of the government is at fault since they took all of the real money away, and took your energy through fraud. They left no means to actually pay your bills when you agreed to the use of any or all credit cards. You, the living human being, created the money to pay the bills. The Federal Reserve Bank, a private institution with no reserves, deposited that fake money in their account and has demanded that you pay interest on it until you have obtained sufficient debt instruments, money, to exchange for the discharge of the debt. That credit card is not yours, either. Look at the name. Take out your credit cards and look at the name. All caps. The debt is owed by the fiction even though you have had use of the merchandise or services. The fault lies in a government that has coerced, cajoled, or was complicit in extorting energy from you and intentionally or unintentionally fumbling away your heritage and the future of your family. When you finally take responsibility for yourself instead of remaining a ward of the state, you mark your maturity as a real human being who is the creator of government, not its chattel. When you eliminate credit card debt, you are also doing your patriotic duty to the real United States of America. Secret weapon against lawsuits, the IRS, and more. Banks rarely go to the trouble and expense of attempting to sue someone who has stopped paying on their credit cards, and that's under normal circumstances. When they know you have evidence that they've violated federal law, it's very unlikely that they will file suit. They certainly don't wish to sign their names to any affidavit of validation. They must obey the regulations that prevent predatory lending and consumer protection laws. The non-adversarial, administrative approach shows you how to use 3 different ways to use the UCC administrative processes for those who are not in default or in danger of default. All are non-adversarial ways to eliminate credit card debt and cost the same no matter the number of credit cards, the amount owed, or the number of times you wish to use the process to eliminate credit card debt. We show you how to use a commercial filing of a lien against a constructive trust account at the U.S. Treasury, which with proper forms and procedures gives you status as first creditor, transferring assets within the national bankruptcy. You can discharge your debt. As you reduce the national debt, you might be able to continue to use the credit card, and keep on discharging it. The third way to eliminate credit card debt utilizes the law of contract to change the contract the same way the credit card lender often changes it without you knowing it. This third process to eliminate credit card debt is called novation.